Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. I am Amy from Neurotic Mom Bakes, and today we are going to make my churro cake, which is absolutely delicious. And then if you want to follow up, I'm posting my apple pie filling and my spiced cream cheese buttercream that goes really well with this. But let's start with the churro cake layers. I have a cup of butter here, and you just want it room temperature. You don't want it too cold. And I'm going to add 1 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Don't forget that I put my written recipe in the description box below the video in both cups and grams. Okay, so we're just gonna cream the sugar and the butter together. And while that's going, I'm going to crack 3 eggs. Here's a little tip with your cake layers. If your eggs and your buttermilk or milk are at room temperature, it will rise better. It won't sink in the middle. However, I've forgotten and I've been in a hurry and I've used cold and it's still been fine. Okay, I'm going to add the eggs one at a time. Let that come together after each one. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Then I'm going to spoon in 1/2 cup of sour cream. Okay, let me just scrape my bowl down. Now it's time for our dry ingredients and our buttermilk. For the dry ingredients, I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt in here, and then I'm going to measure out 1 cup of buttermilk. And if you don't have buttermilk, you can use milk. That will work. And I'm going to just alternate the dry ingredients with the wet ingredients, starting and ending with the dry ingredients. Okay, another tip with your cake is don't overmix. I bring it until it's just combined, and then I finish with by hand stirring it, because you don't want to overmix it. That will give it a weird texture, and it will also cause it to sink in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna scrape down the sides, then I'm gonna get my large spoon and just make sure I get everything off the bottom. Okay, this recipe is going to fill 3 6-inch rounds or 2 8-inch rounds. It also converts really nice to cupcakes. And because I actually need cupcakes today, I'm taking them to my daughter's state tournament tomorrow for her teammates. I'm gonna do a few more cupcakes today and then fill 1 or 2 cake rounds. I'll see what's left over. And then I'll show you how to make it churro in just 1 second. We're not done yet. I'm gonna fill my cupcake pans. If you are making cupcakes out of this, just decrease the baking time by about half. These will like 16 to 18 minutes. You wanna fill these about 2/3 full. To prep your cake pans, this cake will stick to the bottom because it's got the sugar and the cinnamon in there. So you want to make sure you grease your pan, put a parchment round in there, and then grease it again. And then you should have no problem with it coming out of the cake pan. You're going to fill these about halfway full. Okay, so this will make 12 cupcakes and 2 6-inch cake rounds. Now let's make them churro flavored. In a bowl, I'm going to put about 1 cup of brown sugar. And I don't know, 2 heaping teaspoons of cinnamon. And I'm just gonna kind of break up that sugar and stir this together. On top of the cake layers, I'm going to sprinkle 2 generous spoonfuls, just so it covers the top there. And for the cupcakes, I'll do about a half a spoonful, maybe not even quite that much. Okay, this definitely made plenty. I think I told you a cup of brown sugar and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, but I did that when I doubled my recipe, so you can cut that in half, but it'll be in the description box below, because I have lots left over. Okay, now to swirl this in, for the cupcakes, I'll use a toothpick, and for the cake layers, I'll use like a butter knife, and I'm just gonna kind of swirl this cinnamon around in there. Again, just a little bit, so you don't want to overmix. And then for the cupcakes, I'll just kind of swirl with the toothpick. And these will go into a 350-degree oven. The cake layers take about 28 to 35 minutes, just depends on how full you fill them, your oven. And the cupcakes are going to take about 16 to 18 minutes. You'll know it's done when a toothpick comes out clean, and if you touch the center, it feels spongy, it'll spring back. Let's throw those in the oven. Okay, so I have my cake layers and cupcakes out of the oven, and I'm going to show you how I store them. I've said this before in my past videos, but I rarely bake my cake layers and decorate them all in one day. It just takes way too long, it's too much work. So I always bake my layers ahead of time, and I store them in the freezer, and then when I'm ready to decorate, I'll pull them out and they're ready to go. So what I've done is I will get a serrated knife, and I'll just kind of level, this one's not quite level, but I'll just kind of level the tops off once they've cooled down completely, and then I'm just going to wrap them nice and tight in some plastic, and then I will freeze these, and they freeze up to a month and still will taste as fresh as the day that you baked them. And then here's my yummy, pretty cupcakes. Now these are great as is, however, I have an apple pie filling tutorial coming up and a spiced buttercream frosting coming up that pairs with this so well, and it's so delicious. So there you have it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more recipes and tutorials like this, and let me know what you think of this recipe.